The presidential election took place in Brazil, and it looks like it's going to be going to a runoff. So we're going to look at the specifics of this, and then look at a moment where Steve Bannon, bizarrely, because now everything connects to this, when reporting on this election, says that this is an example that highlights what they are trying to do to steal elections across the world, and how this somehow warns us about the midterms. So we'll look at him talking about that, but first, to get a little information on the election, Brazilian voters backed Lula da Silva is kind of, the name that people go with, a left-wing former president, over the incumbent and right-wing president Bolsonaro by a narrow margin in the first round of elections on Sunday. With 97% of the vote counted, Lula, as the former president is universally known, got 47.9% of the vote to Bolsonaro's 43.7% of the vote. And like I said, they will go off or continue on to a runoff. And this election is interesting because it's very divisive. Similar type vibes as the United States, just the level of right-wing, left-wing kind of division and the polarization and all that type of stuff. So then here is Bannon responding to this news in a truly bizarre manner.
Lead story overnight, we're going to start with Matthew Tierman, and we have Darren Beatty on deck. This is the Bolsonaro election down in Brazil, absolutely central and very stark warning to MAGA and to all the Republicans of the games that are being played in these elections. I'm bringing Tierman. By the way, the Hoff brothers, Jim Hoff has an amazing piece up on Gateway Pundit as the lead about the 7 things you have to do to make sure this election is not stolen. And we are not going to allow this election to be stolen, because we're going to give a death blow at the ballot box to the Democratic Party as a national political institution, from school boards all the way up to the House and the Senate. And
okay, so connects that election of Lula da Silva winning, more votes than Bolsonaro, but having to go to a runoff, as some sort of connection to the reason that the right wing needs to participate in preventing the midterms from being stolen. As we know, that is not likely to be a reality in this upcoming midterms. We have seen very good election processes in the United States for the last number of decades, and it's continued. And so the claims they're making are false. But this is so scary. Steve Bannon is preparing his audience for an election that's stolen, and just prepare yourselves, because if there is anything other than a complete Republican trounce in the midterms, there are going to be so many claims of voter fraud, so many claims of stolen elections, and it is not going to be the case. Now, unless something crazy happened and this actually was, but no. Our election processes are pretty darn good, and likely the midterms will be very secure, just like 2020. But they're going to make those claims probably only if they lose, right? Some of them will say, oh, I won, but it still was attempted to be stolen from me. We just got so many votes they couldn't steal it. But for the most part, they only really care about this hypothetical, mysterious, unproven voter fraud if it means they lost their election. And that's what we're going to witness. So prepare yourselves. It's very unfortunate, but that's what we're going into in these 2022 midterms.